Mark Steyn is the best-selling author and really the best guest on TV and joins us tonight. So here's yet another example, Mark, of them accusing you of what they're doing. Are they not aware that they're doing this?
I think Hillary Clinton is totally unaware when she says that, you know, you run the best campaign and all the rest of it. She's actually clutching at straws as to why the inevitable candidate did not win. But this is really the flip side of what you were talking about with Molly just now, because these two stories run in parallel. The Democrats essentially provide political cover for all these FBI types monkeying around, wiretapping and surveilling the opposition. Because if the Democrats didn't lend it political cover, we would all see it for what it is, the deep state gone rogue.
Right.
At the same time, the deep state's investigation of George Papadopoulos and co. provides cover for the Democrats as to why Trump's victories, Republican victories, are never legitimate. So in a sense, these two things operate on twin tracks and support each other. But when you have someone like Stacey Abrams actually saying, we don't need to concede anymore because this entire system is oppressive and out to get us, the Democrats are coming close, actually, to making politics entirely impossible. And when you do that, it doesn't actually leave much else except civil war. So by delegitimizing this process, they are actually playing with matches.
When you say that the election is illegitimate because the system's illegitimate, because the founding documents are illegitimate, because the people who wrote them were racist, at a certain point, aren't you really saying, like, I don't need to play by your rules, I'm just going to seize power when I can?
Well, Stacey Abrams' argument is, unless I win, the election was rigged. Right. And Hillary Clinton, who is a far more senior figure than Stacey Abrams, actually came close to saying that on stage in Los Angeles. Because I didn't win, the system must be rigged. And actually, when I read that Nancy Pelosi thing, I don't think Trump is like that at all. I think if Trump were to lose narrowly, he'd sound off on Twitter. He'd say the presidency is for losers. Living in the White House was so degrading after you've lived in Trump Tower. I'm going to build a fabulous new Trump resort in Kazakhstan. Screw you all. He'd have a ball with, if he lost, he'd have a ball and he'd be gone. But what the Democrats have done for the last 2 years, in particular Hillary Clinton, it's Hillary Clinton's refusal to lose, tied to what we've been talking about with all these deep state guys going rogue, in alliance with foreign intelligence agencies, eavesdropping, monitoring, trying to entrap American citizens. That's these two crimes are actually the same crime, and one half supports the other half.
Very smart, as always. Mark Steyn, thank you.
Thanks, Tucker. Great being with you.
As I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
Ah, my gosh, this is a new one. It was just stolen, right? I mean, how exactly was it stolen, Hillary Clinton? Did they break into the Diebold voting machines and actually change things entirely? I mean, keep in mind, she ran, what do you call it, a perfect campaign? Completely ignoring key states like Michigan and Pennsylvania, important political states. She doesn't get it, but you know what? I guess it doesn't matter because she's selling something else entirely. Not that anybody's buying, because no tickets are being sold at regular prices. They've been slashing them. This is the Evening with the Clintons worldwide tour. Or U.S. tour, I guess, that they're doing. Sales are plunging. Prices are dropping very quickly. There are some reports of tickets going for as little as $2. This is like P.T. Barnum. They're taking the show on the road. The election was stolen. Joining me right now is American Majority CEO Ned Ryan. Ned, I'm curious, is there any precedent for this? Because let me just say, like, I'm going to full out call this just plain old tacky. Okay? They're out there trying to sell tickets to Americans. I'm like, you guys don't have enough money? I mean, it's one thing for a president to go and give a speech and talk to a certain amount of people, get paid for that in a speech. This is a whole different ballgame. This is vaudeville style. Let's take the show on the road. Mom and pop get up there and say that election was stolen. Has any other president done anything like this?
Well, I doubt we've had a president and a spouse as shameful as the Clintons. I call them the grifters.
No, but just a president, like selling tickets.
Right.
Come hear me speak. $2 a piece now because I can't get the regular going rate.
Exactly. At least you would think they would have some self-awareness how shameful and embarrassing it is that some of those tickets are going for $2. But when I heard that clip, Trish, again, my initial reaction was stolen by whom? Let's name it. If you really think that somehow $300 of Facebook ads in Pennsylvania that were inept, or $832 of Facebook ads in Michigan somehow swung a multi-billion-dollar campaign, stop. That's not believable. And the fact of the matter is, Hillary wants to blame anyone and anything except for the one thing that's truly responsible for her loss in 2016, herself. She was a terrible candidate. She ran a terrible campaign. And guess what? She'll never be president.
It's really amazing. I mean, you got to think of it, the ego, right, of some people to have no self-awareness, to know that, you're not cut out for it. And by the way, and I say this objectively, her husband was. Okay, he was a good politician. He could get up there and play to the crowd, in part because he liked the crowd. He liked people, and he communicated with them at a level that she just, clearly didn't get. Even he said, hon, you better go to, probably didn't call her hon, but you should go to Pennsylvania. And she opted not to. I mean, what a lousy, lousy politician. And then, by the way, she told all the coal miners that she wanted to put them out of business.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, it was a terrible campaign with a terrible message. I don't think they've really learned their lesson again on identity politics. Again, nobody told them they shouldn't campaign in the Rust Belt. And again, those turned out to be the deciding votes. But the thing that's troubling to me, Trish, in all of this is the fact that you've got Hillary, you've got Stacey Abrams. They're all starting to question the results of these elections. And one of the great aspects of our constitutional republic is the peaceful transfer of power, in which one party accepts the fact that they lost an election and they hand over the power of the state to the other party. And what they have been doing, the left was lecturing Donald Trump in 2016 that he had to accept the 2016 results as legitimate. And now for the last 2.5 years, they have been doing anything but accepting the legitimacy of those elections. And that's a troubling fact. Now Democrats
she wants to get rid of she wants to get rid of the Electoral College.
She wants to get rid of the Electoral College.
She wrote a piece on that, and she wants to turn everything upside down so that, I don't know, maybe she can run again? Do you think that in her hearts of hearts is the desire? I mean, why are they doing a vaudeville show, selling tickets for $2 a piece? They have enough money, Ned. They really do. Right. They have enough money to be out there on tour like this because of the charity, right? Where they took money from all kinds of people, including countries that we're not so friendly with.
That's right. No, and the thing that's amazing to me, this other aspect, again, Hillary just can't accept the fact that she lost. But Democrats now seem to think that something's broken with our democracy when they lose elections, that somehow they're supposed to win every election. Here's a piece of advice to them. Why don't you lose with dignity and accept the fact that people like a really good economy, they like their jobs, they like wages going up, all these ideas and things that Donald Trump and Republicans have put in place, and perhaps they should use some common sense and look at those results and go, maybe it's not them, maybe it's us, maybe we're doing something wrong. But I think they lack complete self-awareness from Hillary to the rest of the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, we heard Robin Byro, who is a Democratic strategist, who worked for Obama on his campaign. Even he's saying, they need to lose this whole idea of impeachment because it's sending them down the wrong path. And now going after AG Barr. I'll tell you what path, though, it's going to send all of us down as a nation, and it should. It's going to send us down the path of figuring out how the heck this all went down and how the heck we were using opposition research that had never been vetted by our own FBI, nor
Partisan
even told
propaganda.
to the judge it was opposition research, to get a FISA warrant.
Yep. That's right. No, I mean, and I would argue, Trish, it was partisan propaganda. This was paid for by the DNC. It was paid for by Hillary. It is a crime to falsify FISA applications, and someone, through willful omission, did not tell the fisc that they were using partisan propaganda as evidence for these applications, not once or twice, multiple times. Again, it was 4 times. It was once and then renewed 3 times. And I think we've got to get to the bottom of this. This is deeply troubling the rule of law, people using the surveillance state and law enforcement as political weapons against political opponents. And the reason that they're so scared of AG Bartrish, because they're afraid of where this will go. I think it will go to the Obama West Wing. I think it will go to the top of our intelligence communities, and I think it will go to the top of our law enforcement. Wow. And I think there has to be a reckoning. People have to go to jail for what they did.
All right, this sounds pretty reasonable. The president wants another $4.5 billion for humanitarian aid at the crisis at the border. Fierce and ferocious opposition, though, from the left. Even the New York Times is saying, hey, give them the money. Let's bring in Senator Kevin Cramer on this. Sir, it's great to have you on, Senator Kevin Cramer of North Dakota. Why don't they just give them the money for humanitarian needs?
Well, because they've invested so heavily in the idea, the notion, the very partisan notion that this is a, quote, manufactured crisis, that now to give him the money would be a confession that they've been wrong all along. And the problem is that it is now very abundantly clear to the American public that this is not a manufactured crisis, that it is, in fact, a humanitarian crisis that demands a solution. So they've boxed themselves in by their own political rhetoric. I think the best thing to do is stop digging the hole and start lending a hand.
To your point, $4.5 billion is pocket change compared to things like $93 trillion for the Green New Deal or $32 trillion for Bernie Sanders' single payer. CNN says now it's a crisis. So does the New York Times. So does the Washington Post. When are the Democrats going to get on board?
Well, they're going to get on board when their constituency demands it, and I would expect that should be happening. The problem you have, Liz, of course, it's a presidential election year. It seems like half the Democrats in the Senate are running for president. You also have a speaker in Nancy Pelosi, who's a pretty darn good floor manager in the House, but she's even been taken hostage by the far left from people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And so you have this political dynamic that comes with responsibility. I think that they're going to come around. I just think they have to. I would say this, the other thing that encourages me is I'm grateful that the president now has Jared Kushner working on a comprehensive immigration plan, probably look a lot like things that we've talked about before. I think as time goes on and as things become more of a crisis, more evident.
But they're going to deny that. They'll probably deny that. The Democrats will deny the president any victory on that front. Are they really going to go into 2020 saying, we said no to more humanitarian aid for the border? I mean, they're going to have a hearing and a vote on the VA budget, and in that is possible humanitarian and border wall aid. Really, they're going to deny that? It's just astonishing.
No, I don't believe. I believe at some point, and we've got to be getting there soon, Liz.
Okay.
There are a whole bunch of normal Democrats that were elected in this last election who haven't had their say. They've had to yield to the radical left in their party, and there are many more. There are a good 30 or more freshman Democrats, as well as some senior Democrats that come from places that Donald Trump carried and is likely to carry again. Eventually, they have to have their say.
But
and
when
if
are they,
should
final
flex their
point,
muscles.
when are they going to
Sure.
become the loudest voices in the room? Because to your point, the loudest voices in the room right now are the extreme left.
When they stand up to Nancy Pelosi and say, Madam Speaker, we're not giving you this vote unless we get that vote. We are no longer going to be held hostage. And I think it's a ripe opportunity, frankly, for some bipartisan outreach in the House.
Senator Kevin Cramer, thank you so much for joining us, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.